Welcome all. So today's topic is communication with dead reloaded. Reloaded because we are doing this version of topic once again because many people said that the previous communication with dead did not have a very good sound quality. So they wanted me to do this once again so that it is easily audible. So people who have heard this video before, I'll be adding few new points into it, but for people who are hearing it for the first time, it's going to be really knowledgeable. So the first thing that I want to say about this topic is that please be very, very careful when you want to go for communication with dead. First of all, there are some do's and don'ts that you need to follow when you talk about communication with dead aspect. The first thing that you have to be completely aware is that there has to be a very strong reason that why you want to go for communication with dead process. It is not allowed to go for communication with dead if the reason is not strong enough or if the reason is not valid enough. Because here we are trying to contact the beings of a different dimension now after death. And it is not allowed to disturb or to enter that dimension unnecessarily just because of a hobby or for some kind of a fun activity or just because you're missing your near and dear ones who recently died. It's not allowed in the world of Tantra. And a proper pledge is taken for people, from people in fact, who know this art of communication with dead, that you will not misuse it for any purpose, whether it is money, whether it is greed, anything. You will only utilize it for the betterment of people who really need it. Now, what can be those reasons where communication with dead can happen? The first thing is, for example, if you have any ancestor's curse and you want to contact your ancestor, in solving one particular thing which is not getting solved from centuries or from generations to generations, so then it is allowed. Second, if you are getting signs in your house, maybe some handwritings of the person who died, some letter written in which he or she is trying to convey something to you, then it is allowed. Thirdly, if you're getting dreams of the dead person and in the dreams he or she is trying to tell you something, that I want to talk to you, I want to speak to you, I want to convey something to you, then it is allowed. Okay? Otherwise, and few more reasons. Now that, of course, once you write a mail to us as to why you want to contact or do communication with dead, then that can be explained. But otherwise, just because if you say, because I get so many phone calls, the team gets so many phone calls saying that we want to go for communication with dead because my mother expired and I'm really missing her. My husband expired, my wife expired. Now we do understand this is a very hard situation and a very difficult situation of losing your near and dear ones, and it completely takes over you. But then when we as specialists see this particular case of any communication with dead activity, we have to follow the rules and make sure that we prevent you from any damages which can happen or dangerous aspects that can happen from this process. And one thing I want to tell you, that if you call any specialist or these so many claims which are there on the internet that, yes, we do communication with dead, and you call them up and you say, I want to go for this particular process or your service, and they say, yeah, okay, oh, yes, of course we do this, and you have to pay so much amount of money, without asking you the real reason behind it and discussing with you on the mail about the do's and don'ts, that simply means that these people are exploiting you. They are not even aware of the correct process of communication with dead, and they're just doing it for money. So please be very alert, because you will be falling into a very big trap. The second, another very important thing that I've heard from many people is these Bollywood effects that you see, that you light a candle and then you do communication with dead holding hands. Now, I'm not saying that it does not exist, but then this is not the only way this is done, and this is not a very safe way to do it, first of all, because see, here you're trying to contact a spirit which you don't know is in what mode. First of all, this in sattvic way, when you do this, when you try to contact any spirit, it has to be done with a lot of precaution. For the person who's getting it done, for example, you want to go, you have to go through a protection that is given to you by the specialist, and the specialist who's doing it also has to go through a protection. And it has to be done in a confidential manner. It cannot be that you sitting in front and the specialist is sitting in front and this is happening. No, it does not happen like this, the way it is shown. And it is not supposed to happen like this, because you are supposed to respect these energies. You are not supposed to demonstrate these energies and the power in front of everybody. Now, I get so many, in the previous video also I said, so many journalists have tried contacting me and saying that please do this live in front of us, communication with dead. We would like to write a very big article on this, and you will get a lot of publicity. And I simply refuse to all of them, saying that I am not looking for publicity when it comes to such serious and such important and sensitive processes of Tantra, because we are under a pledge that we will give respect and we will follow the rules and regulations of Tantra, which mostly people have forgotten just because of the publicity stunts that they get, and for building up the names in front of so many people for better work and for better publicity purposes. So, of course, we are not really interested in doing this. So, we are making people aware that please be very sure that wherever you contact, you have to go through these questionnaire first. And when if somebody calls us up, for example, we do this questionnaire on the mail, and we try to understand that whether this is actually relevant or not. And if it is not, we simply advise them that don't go for it, don't disturb the spirit unnecessarily just because you're going through an emotional trauma of their death. It's not good. And then it depends on them whether they want to follow this or not. Okay? So be very careful and remember all these things, because see, these are the things through which sometimes willingly or unwillingly you spoil your karmas and you give rise to certain things which are sleeping for the better. Okay? Now, adding to this, I would like to share an episode that very recently I was with two youngsters. They were visiting with me to another city for a religious purpose. So 3 of us were together in the hotel room, and they had many questions regarding paranormal things, and trying to understand and clarify a few aspects that they had in their minds. So I was explaining them, and we were having a normal discussion on the general knowledge and certain aspects. So suddenly in conversation, the sister said to me that, Didi, my mother says one particular name of my relative who died a couple of years back, and she gives the names of the person, of that particular dead person, suddenly when she is sitting, and she's thinking something, and all of a sudden she starts naming that particular name. So, is it possible that she is able to see her spirit, or maybe she is able to feel something paranormal or supernatural? So the moment she said this, I said, yes, of course that can happen, because it is very natural that if two people are close in the present life and they're good friends, or share a very good rapport with each other, after the person dies, it's quite possible that the person is trying to convey something through one particular person. And if she is naming her repeatedly, in a gap of maybe 2 or 3 days continuously, then definitely, now this can be one of the reasons that we are allowed to do communication with dead, because there's a sense of confusion here, that the person died and those two people were having a very good reputation with each other. They were very close, and the person who died used to trust their mother a lot. So then I said, yes, now this can be a possibility of getting a communication with dead done. It has a strong reason of clarifying something, because she has the person who died had the family left behind her, and even they were not going through a very good time, their family. So it's quite possible that she's trying to convey something through that particular person to them. So the point I'm trying to make is that there has to be a concrete reason that we can present in front of the energies, that yes, this is one particular reason, a strong reason that we want to go for communication with dead ahead. Otherwise, please don't fall for these exploited versions on net which say that yes, the moment you call them up, like I said before also, and they said, yes, this is a particular feast of communication with dead and we'll do it for you. That simply means that they have forgotten their pledge of the spiritual aspect. They have forgotten the rules and regulations respecting those energies, and ultimately all this will come back. All this bad karma, all this exploitation will come back, and unnecessarily you not knowing this will also be a part of it. So don't spoil your karmas, don't fall into something which can spoil your karmas also, willingly or unwillingly. Okay, so be very, very careful when you think of even calling us also for communication with dead, because mostly we reject communication with dead aspect until and unless it matches with the kind of questions we ask. And if it does not matches, we simply tell the same thing what I'm saying on YouTube, but in a much more briefer manner, that it's not advisable for you to get it done, and please stay away, it's for your own good. Okay, so that's about it for communication with dead, and I think this time the audio was much more better, and next week I'm going to see with you another topic, and till then, goodbye.